The natural world is truly stranger than fiction. Who needs ghosts and supernatural forces when there's still so much mystery around us? That's why we've pulled together the most incredible forces of nature, and some of these you really have to see to believe. From a bright pink lake in Australia to a hole where objects seem to go and disappear forever, I'm Mike with List 25, and stay tuned for 25 more natural phenomena that'll leave you speechless. 25. Jacob's Well. Even for thrill seekers, this place is probably daunting. Jacob's Well is a 12-foot wide spring surrounded by pristine greenery and open country, but swimming is only allowed at certain times of the year. From the well, the entrance to a gigantic cave system lurks beneath, stretching for 4,500 feet. Though it looks enchanting, Jacob's Well is known as one of the most lethal places to dive in the world, with 12 scuba divers having lost their lives already. 24. Bolton Strid, Yorkshire. In the northern part of England, about 25 miles from Leeds, the Bolton Strid has a terrifying reputation. It's a small section of the 65-mile-long River Wharfe, just 6 feet wide, where the water moves extremely fast, carrying anything and anyone with it. 100% of the people who have fallen into the river here have died, with many of their bodies still missing. Apart from the speed, below the water hides sharp rocks and deep caves, enough to trap and crush anyone unlucky enough to fall victim to it. Even being nearby can be dangerous, as the area experiences flash flooding, turning dry land into rivers in minutes. 23. Pink Lake Hillier. No, this lake isn't the result of a huge prank. It really is pink. Located on Middle Island, 75 miles off the coast of Western Australia, Lake Hillier is something that has to be seen to be believed. The bright pink surface reflects sunlight and looks magnificent from above. But what exactly gives it such a powerful color? For years, that question was debated, until scientists finally analyzed samples and sequenced the DNA, which revealed that the pink came from a combination of purple sulfur bacteria, red algae, and orange bacteria. 22. Sakurajima, dirty thunderstorms. Volcanic eruptions and lightning are two of the most powerful forces on Earth. What happens when you combine the two? It creates volcanic lightning, also called dirty thunderstorms. One of the best places to view these is Mount Sakurajima in Japan. As the most active volcano in the country, it provides plenty of fuel for dirty thunderstorms, which emerge when ash is ejected high into the air, collides with other particles, and produces static electricity. The result is an intense display of lava, ash, and lightning at the mouth of the volcano. 21. Snow chimneys. Underneath the surface of ice sheets and snow, there are over 100 volcanoes in Antarctica. And there's another way for the continent to get rid of heat trapped underneath, through a phenomenon called snow chimneys. Over thousands of years, the path of gases moving out from below creates a tunnel stretching as far as 60 feet, and now working to send clouds of steam out of the top of mountains. 20. Moonbows. Is there anything more beautiful in the sky than a rainbow? Well, what about a moonbow? As the name suggests, these have a lot to do with the moon. They appear when light bounces off the moon back to Earth, and then just like in a rainbow, the light passes through rain droplets, reflecting into different angles to form an arc. Moonbows can appear in conditions with much less light, like at night. They also often appear to be completely white rather than multicolored because the human eye doesn't have enough cone receptors. That's why the best way to see them can be through a camera set to long exposure. 19. Ice caves. Attracting thousands of tourists every year, Iceland has become famous for its vast ice caves. The majority of them are created as water flows through them during warmer months, forming a cave that crystallizes during winter. Some of these, like the caves of Vatnajökull, are illuminated with bright, beautiful blues. These caves are unique for their see-through ice ceilings, allowing for light to penetrate and illuminate the path for visitors. 18. Horizontal falls. In the far northwestern part of Australia, a gap of just 30 feet squeezes a huge stream of seawater between two gorges. In this part of the McClarty Range, the water is moving through so rapidly that it's earned the nickname Horizontal Falls. At peak times, the tide here can rise over 13 feet, and the direction of the flow can even reverse. And, if you're brave enough, several tour companies offer experiences to speed through the falls. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart. In 2022, 14 people were seriously injured after their boat capsized. 17. Wolfe Creek Crater. 500 miles inland from Horizontal Falls is Wolfe Creek Crater, and it too gives an experience that'll blow you away. Here, you'll find the site of a massive crater impact that collided with Earth 300,000 years ago. The crater measures over 2,800 feet in diameter and drops down 200 feet. It's been calculated that a meteorite was probably around 50 meters in diameter, weighing in at 14,000 tons, and likely falling at a speed of 17 kilometers per second. 16. Hamelin Pool, Shark Bay. Another natural phenomenon in Australia is found in a place called Hamelin Pool. Its claim to fame is that it's home to the biggest living marine stromatolite system on the planet. Stromatolites date back 3.5 billion years and were vital in producing enough oxygen to make Earth a livable planet. In fact, there's no life form older than them on Earth, making them like a living museum of biology. In Hamelin Pool, there are around 310,000 acres of stromatolites, which are so important that it's been marked as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. 15. Min Min lights. For decades, maybe even centuries, there was a mysterious group of lights that would appear in the outback of Australia. Named Min Min after the town where they were first spotted, these small orbs would appear just above the horizon, shoot around in all directions, and even diverge into different lights. It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel, and when the mystery was finally cracked, the explanation seemed just as bizarre. They come from light being trapped in cold air, which allows it to travel extremely long distances, so far that the origin of the light can't even be seen. This can go further than the horizon line, as far as 300 kilometers away. 14. Devil's Bath. Not to be outdone by the bright pink lake we saw in Australia, New Zealand has its own pool of fluoro-colored liquid, only this one is much more dangerous. Located on the country's North Island in the Taupo volcanic zone, the ominously named Devil's Bath gives an idea of just how lethal it is. The luminous green is caused by the high levels of sulfur and iron salts, which gives the entire area a pungent smell. Even worse, if you were unlucky enough to fall in, then the acidity of the water would destroy your skin. 13. Frying Pan Lake. An hour's drive from Devil's Bath is Frying Pan Lake, the biggest hot spring in the world. But this isn't like any hot spring you've ever seen before. The water produces clouds of steam, shooting hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide into the air. As you might have guessed from the name, Frying Pan Lake is piping hot, averaging around 130 degrees. The lake is part of the Waimangu Volcanic Rift Valley, an area famous for its high geothermal activity. 12. Tunnel Beach. In one of the most southern parts of New Zealand, Dunedin has a little-known secret beach. At Tunnel Beach, the cliff faces are vaulted over the sea, passing underneath. But these passages aren't where the area gets its name. It comes from a tunnel carved into the rock in the late 19th century, allowing access directly to a private, secluded section of beach. 11. Floating ice. Animals aren't the only things to migrate. On the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido, parts of the coast receive visitors all the way from Siberia each year. Strong ocean currents push ice sheets southward all the way to Hokkaido. The site has become a popular attraction, and you can even opt for an ice walk if you can deal with the freezing temperatures. 10. Hot spring hells at Beppu. Wherever tectonic plates meet or crack below the surface, there is a tremendous amount of geothermal energy. That's what heats up the Beppu onsen hot spring systems on the island of Kyushu in Japan. This island has the unique position of sitting on top of 4 tectonic plates, where magma boils water around 60 miles below the surface. On top, thousands of vents tap into the system to distribute steam throughout the city to hotels, public baths, and resorts, all built to accommodate tourists. 9. 3 natural bridges. Named after 3 dragons, it's not difficult to see why this location in Chongqing holds so much significance to locals. Composed mainly of limestone, the 3 natural bridges are towering more than 700 feet above the ground, with high walls where 3 naturally formed arches meet. Together, they span over 300 feet and help the South China Karsts earn protection from UNESCO. 8. The Devil's Kettle. The Devil's Kettle puzzled locals for generations. It's a waterfall that forks into 2 after colliding with a rock face, with one direction falling into a giant cavity. But where does that water go? That was the mystery, leading some amateur researchers to drop GPS trackers in, without any success. Nothing thrown into the stream seemed to emerge at the bottom, like the other part of the fork. However, scientific tests suggested that the mystery was simply a blind spot, and that the hole led back into the stream before reaching the falls. The reason that objects seemed to disappear into the Devil's Kettle was that the current trapped them underneath and eventually crushed them. 7. The wall drops at St. Croix. Even for seasoned scuba divers, one spot in the Virgin Islands sends shivers down their spines. About 100 feet from the island of St. Croix, the wall is a hotspot for diving. Less experienced divers can stay in a section with a depth of around 26 feet. However, a bit further out on the wall, the depth suddenly drops off a cliff to more than 13,000 feet. Whatever you do here, don't look down. 6. Thor's Well. This place looks like it was designed for wallpapers. And no, it is not AI generated, which makes it even scarier. In Oregon, Thor's Well seems to defy physics. In an otherwise fairly flat piece of the Cape Perpetua shoreline, a hole 20 feet down suddenly sucks in everything around it. Thor's Well is actually a sea cave and is filled during low tide. Then, once high tide hits, water is catapulted out of the hole as high as 40 feet into the air. 5. Ming Sha Shan. Also known as the Singing Sand Dunes, Ming Sha Shan is an immense series of rolling dunes. The name was given for the sounds that come from wind blowing through the area. In the middle of the dunes, appearing out of nowhere, is an oasis bordered by greenery known as the Crescent Lake. This was once part of the famous Silk Road, linking Asia to Europe. Traders must have thought they were hallucinating when they stumbled across this lake. 4. Pennsylvania's Ringing Rocks. Rolling sand dunes aren't the only place to find music in nature. If you head to Bucks County in Pennsylvania, there's a special kind of rock with musical qualities. If you knock them in the right way, then they let out a long, vibrating ring. Scientists aren't exactly sure what makes these sounds, but it's thought to have something to do with elasticity inside the rocks. Now, forgetting the science, these rocks are a great place to take kids, and visitors are even encouraged to, quote, bring their own hammer. 3. Valley of the Moon. If you happened upon the Valley of the Moon in Argentina, you'd be forgiven for thinking that it was the site of an ancient advanced civilization. The terrain is dry and arid, with huge rock formations jutting out of the ground. Some of them appear to have been smoothed intentionally, though it's from the strong and consistent winds that the region experiences. Despite its alien appearance, the Valley of the Moon is very much on Earth. However, discoveries of dinosaur bones have made it a way to look back millions of years into the past. 2. Sand Pyramids. Forget the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Bosnia and Herzegovina has its own version, and they are completely natural. About an hour and a half from Sarajevo, the Pjershan pyramids are made out of sand. The shapes, which are smooth and almost appear man-made, are created when the soil around the sand and rock is eroded, leaving them to be polished by rain and snow. Some stand over 65 feet in the air, and surprisingly, are only around 200 years old. 1. Red Beach. We've saved the best for last. The Red Beach is a vast expanse of coastline famous for its seepweed. Each year, as the plant blooms, it covers 18 kilometers in blood-red plants. But if you're coming to Red Beach looking for sand, then you'll be disappointed. Located in Panjin, it's a marshy wetland, now protected by the government, and it attracts 2 million tourists each season, all looking for the perfect Instagram shot. So, have you ever seen any of these in person? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out our social medias, including my personal ones, links in that description. Oh, I'm sorry, did you think we're done? Not just yet. Did you know in Bolivia there's a place where 10 billion tons of salt spread across a layer of water to make the world's biggest mirror? And in Chestnut Ridge Park, west of New York City, there's a mysterious flame behind a waterfall. It's fueled by a stream of natural gas coming from deep below the surface. But how exactly did this flame get lit in the first place? For all that and much more, check out 25 mind-boggling natural phenomena you won't believe. Trust me, that's why this one has more in the title. Because that one. Enjoy, let's go.